When we were kids and the lights went out, there were two choices, this
or this. But today, there are a lot more options.
We recently did a video on portable power stations. We compared 3 different sizes of portable power stations and kind of ran through different scenarios to help you decide which one might be right for you. But we heard from a lot of you that said, really, that's outside of my budget. Isn't there anything that I can get that's going to cost less money? And the answer is yes. And that's what we'll talk about in today's video. But in case this is your first time with us and you don't know us at all, my name's Hope.
And I'm Larry.
And this is Under the Median, where every week we talk about practical frugality. Now, for this video, we wanted to have some fun. So literally, we spent 10 minutes, we walked all around our house, and we grabbed everything that we personally own to help us to deal with a scenario of what happens if the lights go out.
So we're going to present to you more inexpensive options. Now, these options aren't going to power your refrigerator.
Right.
They're not going to power your coffee pot, but they'll help you get by with at least something you'll have to back up to if you don't have power. Now, as we mentioned in our video, when I was a kid, this was the very kerosene lantern that we used in our home. It came off of my mom's farm. It probably dates back to the 1913s. But if we lost power, this was the one light that they would bring up from the basement, and it would just very dimly light up a room. That's the only option we had. We didn't have all these options that we have today. And of course, we had a flashlight just to find things. And they were very limited. You could only use them for so long, and the batteries would run down.
You had to have a supply of C or D cell batteries on hand to make sure that you could keep using your flashlight. You know, what happens is generally when the power goes out, it's unexpected.
Yeah,
it's alarming and can be a little bit scary. So just having a game plan in mind and thinking, what do I really need to have on hand? Larry and I always think about it in terms of, we did a lot of camping when we were first married. Mm-hmm. What did we do? How did we actually supply power for ourselves when we were camping? And if you begin to think about backup power in those terms, then it helps you to kind of figure out what it is you need. You need lights, right? That's probably the first thing is lights, so you can see.
You have to
where
find
you're right.
the other items that you might be looking for in your home. So lighting is good, especially if it's at night. And a lot of times the power goes out at night when you have a storm, wind blows the power lines down from fallen trees. And so that would be the very first thing. And you know, just to mention, I always carry a flashlight with me. I always have a little pocket LED flashlight. Usually they're rechargeable, or they have rechargeable batteries in them. And so if the power goes out, I reach into my pocket and pull out the little pocket LED flashlight, and then I can find whatever I'm looking for from there.
One of the other things that we've had several different viewers mention is that they stock up on those. You can get them for like $1 a piece at like Harbor Freight, sometimes a little more than that. Sometimes they're like I don't know what we call a gimme. So it's like a coupon. You can go in and get yourself a free flashlight.
Oh yeah, they do.
So, and they have a little loop on the end, and you can just loop it around a doorknob. And a lot of people said, especially if they need to know for sure where that flashlight is located, just looping it around all the major doors in the house, so you know exactly where it's at.
That'll at least give you some lighting to the doorway. Yeah, this is the one I carry. It's called a Hyper Tough, and it can hook onto your shirt pocket, so you've got a light with you all the time. It's good to have. So let's go over some of the options that we have, and you know, we always listen to our viewers. It was our viewers that kind of spawned this. They said they couldn't afford the power stations. I looked at Hope and said, well, let's come up with some alternatives.
So we'll be talking about lights, communication, and a little bit of not necessarily heating. Heating you do need to think about in winter power outages, but definitely maybe a little bit of cooling too. We're just going to show you what we have on hand and what we use, guys.
So let's start by looking at some alternative ways to light. Now, we don't really recommend the kerosene lantern. It will work in a pinch.
You can, but it is dangerous. If you knock it over, then you have a serious problem. And the thing is, there's a lot of other alternatives available in this day and age.
Yeah, and certainly LED lights are a lot safer. Yeah. So in that vein, the first recommendation that I'd have for just some area lighting in your room, it'll also give you some good reading light, are one of these solar power powered lanterns. This is an LED lantern. It's made by Hybrid Light, and we found out about it through the channel, The Provident Preppers. They do a great job over there, and Kylie just happened to mention this on one of her power station videos. You can put this in a window, and it will charge up with the sun. So what she does with hers, she just leaves it sitting in a window, and when they need it, it's charged. I think that's really wonderful. So if you forget to plug it in, here's a lantern. It automatically charges as long as you got some sunlight coming in a window. This particular model will actually charge off of any light source. Right now, it's showing the red light lit just from our station lights here. So these are really good. They have a nice big battery in them, and they can be used to recharge your phones as well. Mm-hmm. And then you can charge it, of course, on a USB cord. It'll charge a lot faster. I've left it out in the sun for a couple of days. It's got plenty of charge. It'll run all night. It has varying levels of intensity. It shows three different levels there.
That is bright.
But then if you just turn it on and you hold the knob, there, you hold the knob, it goes to the full 600 lumens, and then it flashes when it gets to the top. So that's very bright, puts out a nice area light.
I like this too because it has a nice handle on it, and the handle is open at this end, so you can like hook it over stuff if you need to hang it from something. I really like that as well. Hey, if you guys don't watch Provident Prepper, go check them out, and be sure to tell them that Hope and Larry sent you over from under the median.
A really high quality channel.
Nice. They're nice people. They're nice folks.
They really are. And this is very lightweight too. It doesn't
Oh yeah,
weigh
I like
an
that
awful
too.
lot.
It's easy to carry around. We actually have a second option for you for an LED lantern. We've had this, I think, for like last year and a half or so. We've used a lot and we really, really like it. It's a little bit heavier made than the other lantern, and it's got some different features.
Yeah, this is the Tough Light. It's a very well-designed light. It's one of the more expensive lights.
It is.
It runs $80 plus.
It is a little more expensive.
But it's very well worth it. It's well-made, very heavy construction on it. What I like about this light is it's got a heavy-duty battery. It's got a lot bigger battery than most of the lanterns. It's a 12,000 milliamp hour battery. So that's a huge battery to have built into a lantern like this. It'll run for some 400 hours on low. Think about that. So in fact, there's low. That's low. That is a wonderful night light. It'll actually light up a room so you can see to get around in. And then the brighter light, of course, is really good for reading. But here's what's nice. You got a lot of options. You have a handle to carry it with. You have a hook to hook it onto something. You can take the top off, and then upside down, it works as an area light to light up like a tent or a room. We've used it in the kitchen when we've had a power outage, and that'll help you. You can put that over wherever you happen to be working, maybe doing dishes or something. And then the other nice thing about it is that you can use this to charge up your phones or anything that's USB powered. So very many different functions. The hybrid light that we showed will also recharge things. It has that USB power option as well. So these are really good to have in a power outage.
If you want a really, super inexpensive light, check out one of these. This looks like a traditional light switch. You can either mount it to the wall, or it comes with like Velcro where you can just stick it onto the wall. Kids are used to looking for these in the dark, right? They're used to looking for that light switch. So we love having these on the wall of different areas where we know we're going to access them. This is from Harbor Freight. You can get them, guys, for $2 or $3 a piece. Inexpensive, and they last a really long time.
Another light that we like quite a bit, we have about 6 of these now.
We use them all the time.
We do. You can buy them in a 2-pack, and this is called an Onite, O-N-I-T-E. Get those from Amazon. It's 5 watts. It has an 8-foot cord. It has its own little switch built in, and it can be powered by any power bank.
Right. Another option, we have these. My mother gave me these. They are solar rechargeable lights. A lot of people use them for outdoors, like to line walkways, but you can just pick them up and bring them inside and they work just fine inside.
I put those in the windowsills, and those are great. I have one in the bathroom. We come in, that'll light up.
It's motion sensitive, right?
Right.
So when you walk in, it comes on, which we actually really like.
As long as you're moving, it'll keep that room lit, and then it goes out about, I think, 10 or 20 seconds after you leave. Very handy to have.
Now, Larry just showed a power bank that he was using to power the lights. So let's talk about these small portable power banks for just a sec.
Yeah, this is one made by Rav Power. We've showed it before.
They don't make those anymore.
That's right, they don't. This is a 32,000 milliamp. It has 3 USB charging ports on it, and it charges with a micro USB power input on it. But they make a lot of these. In fact, they've really come down in price. These are very handy. They hold a lot of power. They'll charge your phone several times. They can power lights, and they can power even an emergency radio. I would highly recommend having maybe a few of these, maybe 2 or 3 around your house. But there's another alternative to these.
Larry mentioned that this one isn't made anymore. We'd love to recommend one just a little bit smaller than this one. It's $26,800, and we like it. It's on sale right now at Power Ad Mall. We're going to talk a little bit more about them in just a second. But it's on sale, regularly $20. It's on sale for $14 right now. We'll make sure there's a link to this stuff in the description of the video, guys.
Yeah, and then this is one that Power Ad sent to us to kind of try out and see how it was. This is also a 26,800 milliamp power bank, but it's a little bit more than a regular power bank.
Watch this one.
This is a solar rechargeable power bank.
Isn't that cool?
Now, these have been on the market for a while. I've never had one, so I decided to maybe give this one a try out. I had it outside in the backyard yesterday, charging out in the sun, and it had run down to about 1 battery bar. And when I picked it up, it had gained 3 battery bars from being out in the sun. So they do charge. This is actually charging at about a rate of 6 watts, so that's not bad for these. The nice thing about this, you can take it backpacking and camping. And if you're out of power for a while, you've got a way to generate some power. And just like that lantern, you can leave it in the window and let it charge up. Or you can do the USB charging. It'll charge quite a bit faster. It has the USB charging port and then 2 USB ports for charging your phone. It'll charge an iPhone about 6 to 8 times. So, and in fact,
that's pretty good.
Yeah, and you can charge anything that charges on USB, any of these lanterns, or like if you have a portable, in fact, as I would run a portable emergency radio off of this, it would run that a lot longer. And the other thing this one has, and a lot of them have this feature, is that it has an area light built in. Now, that's not a real bright area light. I've used it as a night light.
If you're in a really dark room, though, this is going to seem like a really bright light. You
It
know what I'm
does.
saying?
It will.
It'll get you from point A to point B until you find other things you need to maybe light the room up a little bit brighter.
Oh yeah, and then it has a high and low, and then a flashing mode, like so, and then off. So really good, very handy. I would highly recommend this product. Seems very well made too, and it comes with a compass. So the neat thing about this is that you could attach this to your backpack if you're backpacking and just leave it on the sun side of your pack, and that can be charging all day when you get to your campsite.
When you're hiking.
Yeah, you got something to charge your phone off of, or maybe you've got some camera equipment or whatever you happen to have with you. These are great to have.
Now, here's the other reason that we really like this, because it's on sale right now. It's regularly $50. It's on sale for $20, guys.
That's a deal.
We were super excited about that. There'll be a link in the video description in case you want to pick one up. Now, when it comes to lights, Larry showed you that light bulb that we have like 6 of them, and we use those to light up various spaces. We liked those things so much that we found a long string of them and ordered it. We really like these. Here, wait, we'll stretch it out while you're telling them about it.
Well,
okay?
I don't think you can. It's about 20. It's 24 feet.
24 feet.
Yeah.
There are 8 of these lights on there.
No. There's 10.
There's 10. There's 10 of them.
10 lights.
We
yeah.
hang it around like one of the long windows in our family room, and it's ambient light that we have on. We use these lights every night while we're watching television.
Oh yeah, and once again, that's running off of this power bank, and great lighting to have. These are also good for camping. People will set these around their campsite, around their tent, or their awning especially.
It's like those string lights that people hang across awnings and stuff.
Yeah, or maybe even your back patio. But once again, really good in the case of emergency. These don't draw an awful lot of power because they're only 1.5 watts a piece. Yeah. So they don't draw a huge amount. Very fun way to light up things.
Okay, now the next thing we're going to show you is kind of a combo. It's a light and a fan in one.
Oh, yeah. Once again, you've got a 3-speed fan on here. And I'll turn that off because that makes a little bit of noise. It's not terribly loud, but it's right under the microphone. And then you have different settings, 3 different settings for light on this. I actually use the light more than I do the fan. That's a 1,000 lumen light, so it's very bright. It will light up a room. You can read by that. So very handy. Once again, it's kind of a camping accessory. It's made so that you can hook this onto the top of your tent and hang down. But you could hang that anywhere in your house and just, have kind of an overhead lamp just like the lanterns do.
Now, when it comes to price points, because this is about low-cost backup power options, the most expensive item that we have shown you thus far is that Tough Light lantern, and that was $80. That's the top. That's the most expensive thing that we've shown you, and they go down from there to about the $20 range. So you kind of know what you're looking at as far as price points are concerned.
Yeah, and one more thing I want to point out about this. This does have a rechargeable battery. So it's got a 10,000 milliampere hour rechargeable battery. That's a good sized battery. And it'll last a very long time. It's got a long life to it. And that's what I look for in these: quality, long life, and brightness.
Any of these small power banks will be able to use them to charge your cell phone, which in any emergency, you want to make sure that your loved ones know that you're okay. And you want to be able to find out what the latest information is on whatever it is that's causing the power outage. There's another thing, though, for communication purposes that we really like.
Yeah, let's say the internet's down and you don't have access to that now. In our
phones.
Phones.
My sister lived in an area in Huntsville, Alabama, where a tornado came through a few years ago, and there was a pretty large area that was pretty heavily damaged. We could not get through to her on her cell phone for 48 hours because it was just, the circuits were overloaded. There was no way to get through to that area.
Or the towers could be down, they could be damaged, a number of things. And if there's no power, then if it's pretty area-wide, that could affect those too. So there is another way you can get information, and this is old school. In fact, this is an analog radio. They still sell it. There are many versions of these emergency radios, but we like this Kaito radio. It runs around $50 or so. I don't know if it's changed in price or not, but it has a lot of different features. The first one that I use almost daily is the weather radio. Oh, it won't work with the lights. The lights are interfering with it. But it also, I'll just turn it off. It also has AM, FM, and shortwave. It has 2 shortwave bands. Now, if we're having a major national incident, we might not have radio in the States. That, I don't know, that's never happened, but it could. And if that was the case, you could still get information using the shortwave. Yep. This has a very sensitive receiver. It does really good getting shortwave. I've played with it quite a bit. So this way you can get your AM band, FM, and shortwave, plus the weather station. It's very good. In fact, I get several different weather stations with this. So good little radio. But here's the advantage. It has solar charging capabilities. So on the back, it has a solar panel. I actually leave this sitting in our window. So it's solar charging all the time during the day when the sun comes around there. And I've never picked it up where you didn't have a charge on it. And then you can also charge it with USB, and you can run it off of USB power. So you could run it using these power banks to power that. And then the other thing that it has a couple of light options here. It has an area light. It's not terribly bright, but it's something. And then it has a little flashlight on it. So you could use that also to kind of see to get around. That also lights up the dial. So it's got a dial light along with it. So along with the solar charging and the USB charging, there's one more option. You can hand crank that. And that is another way that you can charge this. So very handy radio. They've sold a ton of these. Very popular item.
This is therapy for bored teenagers if there's a power outage. Crank the radio for us, honey.
Yeah.
They can all take turns for 10 minutes cranking the radio. One of the things that I think is important to really mention is the fact that we are so dependent on electricity. And finding ways to do things without using electricity, I think is something to think about ahead of time and something that behooves us. Now, Larry broke his favorite alarm clock, and actually we have some other wind-up alarm clocks. Now, perhaps that's not the best example, but it is an example of things that you want to be thinking about in terms of what happens if we lose power. What do you do?
Yeah, these are very old school, and they still make wind-up bell alarm clocks. These happen to be old vintage one. This is one from the late 1960s, good old Big Ben West clock. But you simply wind it up, manually set the alarm. They're very reliable. You just have to wind them every night. This is what I wake up to. I don't use any electronic alarm. The reason why, Hope and I worked in broadcasting, we had to be at the station. And if we lost power in our neighborhood with an electric clock, we'd be hosed. So we've always used wind-up clocks. And once again, very reliable, something to think about.
Now, a reminder once again that all of these items are a great price point because they're $80 or less. But the downside is they are not going to power any larger items. They're not going to power your modem. They're not going to power your refrigerator or your freezer, medical equipment, and they're not going to power something like a sump pump, which might be very important to some of us when the power goes out. If you're looking for backup power that is actually going to power some of those items, you might want to take a look at that video that we did a few weeks ago. We talked about 3 different sizes of portable power stations, showed you exactly what they would run, what they would not run, and how long they would run those items for. That video, if you haven't watched it, is right over there.